So a very good morning to everyone present here, and I welcome everyone in this 2 days national webinar organized by Department of Education, Mizoram University. With us, we have our chief guest of the program, Professor C.K. Saluja sir, and along with him, we have Professor H. Mal Swami madam, convener of this program and head of Department of Education, Mizoram University. And we have Professor Lal Masai Chuango madam, Director UGC HRDC, Mizoram University. I welcome you all, madam. And along with her, we have Professor Ayushman Goswami, sir. Sir has also joined. Sir is Professor and Head Department of Extension Education, Regional Institute of Education, NCRT Ajmer. And I can see here that more than 400 participants have joined, and I hope others will join very soon. And other faculty members, Dr. Linda Jominglani madam, Dr. Kavita Kumari, all have joined, and other faculty members, those who are there. I welcome everyone in this 2 days national webinar. And now for the formal welcome address of this program, I hand over the session to our head of department and convener of this program. Madam, it's over to you, please.
Thank you, Pratik. A very good morning to you all and a warm greetings on behalf of the Department of Education, Mizoram University. First of all, I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to our national webinar on National Education Policy 2020, a paradigm shift in Indian education system. Now, since our Vice Chancellor, Professor K.R.S. Sambasiva Rao, is out of station, so today he will not be able to deliver the inaugural address. So our apology for that. But we feel extremely grateful and honored to have the chief guest and keynote speaker of this webinar, Professor C.K. Saluja. Professor C.K. Saluja is an eminent Sanskrit scholar. He has served as a faculty in Department of Education, Delhi University. Presently, he is Director Academic Sanskrit Promotion Foundation, Delhi. Professor Saluja has been awarded the prestigious President's Certificate of Honor in 2019 by the Union Ministry of HRD. He has been a recipient of Vishwa Bharati Award from Shiksha Sanskriti Uthan Nayas, Uttar Pradesh government in the year 2020. He was also closely associated with professional bodies as a member like CBSE, NCERT, Haryana Education Board, and Samskrita Bharati. He is also an advisor in Sanskrit books by Samskrita Bharati, USA. He's a member Indian Council of Philosophical Research, member Executive Council, Rashtriya Sanskrit Sansthan, member High Power Committee, NCTE, and chairman, Curriculum Committee of NCTE. So he has all those designation. So we heartily welcome you to our webinar. And we are looking forward to your keynote address. Our welcome also goes to one of our resource person, Professor Harish Chandra Singh Rathore. Professor Rathore is currently Vice Chancellor of Central University of South Bihar. Professor Rathore was the Dean of Faculty of Education at Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. He was also the coordinator of Internal Quality Assurance Cell of BHU. He has received many fellowships for his praiseworthy contribution to the field of education. Professor Rathore has received many awards and recognitions for his work. DAAD, Humboldt Fellowship, etc. are among the renowned fellowships received by him. Professor Rathore is also having good administrative experience. He has been the chief proctor of BHU for 5.5 years, and he is a member of several national committees of MHRD, UGC, NARC, and NCTE. In addition to these, he is having membership in more than a dozen professional, national and international bodies. He has a very vast and impressive academic as well as administrative experience. Today, Professor Rathore will talk about National Education Policy 2020. Now, we are also delighted to welcome another resource person, Professor Puna Ramji, who is at present the Vice Chancellor of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University, Srikakulam University, AP. Dr. K. Ramji was working as a professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, College of Engineering, Andhra University. He has guided 82 ME theses and 30 PhD dissertations related to vehicle dynamics and other fields, and published more than 200 papers, and actively doing consultancy, research and project works. He has organized 14 international conferences and 52 national conferences, seminars, etc. He delivered more than 150 guest lectures at different platforms. In his credit, rank holder in BE and ME and gold medalist in ME, awarded Certificate of Merit for the paper published in the Journal of Institution of Engineers 2004, and also awarded the Bridge Mohan Lal Memorial Gold Medal Prize for the best research work done and paper published in the Journal of Institution of Engineers in 2005. He had also received several awards, and today he will be delivering a talk on technical education in the context of NEP 2020. Now, I also welcome another resource person today, that is Professor Ramesh Ghanta, who is an eminent professor, administrator, and passionate educator in Department of Education. He published more than 10 books and over 30 research papers in various journals of education in India and abroad. He was selected for Fulbright Fellowship in USA. Subsequently, he availed himself UGC associateship and conducted advanced research in aesthetic education. Apart from being a recipient of University Best Teacher Award of Andhra Pradesh in 1997 and National Best Teacher Education Award by IATE in 2009, he also received the UNESCO NLM Award in 2010 and Sakshar Bharat National Literacy Award of Government of India MHRD in 2012 as a chairman of the Best State Resource Center for Adult and Continuing Education, Hyderabad. He has been awarded Emeritus Fellow by the UGC in 2013. He is also the President, Indian Association of Teacher Education, IATE, New Delhi. He also served as the chairman, governing body of the State Resource Center for Adult and Continuing Education, Hyderabad, which is founded by the Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. Today, he will be talking about NEP 2020, Challenges Ahead, Teacher Educators. Now, our welcome also goes to another resource person, Professor Nityanand Pradhan, who is a professor of education and currently working as principal, Regional Institute of Education, RIE, NCERT, Bhopal. He has completed 24 research projects funded by state, national, and international agencies. As many as 14 scholars have been awarded PhD degree in education. 15 scholars have been awarded MPhil degree in education and tribal studies under his supervision. He has developed a number of instructional materials for teachers and teacher educators and has presented a number of papers in national and international seminars and conferences. He has published as many as 62 papers, including 27 research papers in journal and edited books of national and international repute. Dr. Pradhan, as a member of NARC peer team, visited different teacher training institutes of the country for assessment and accreditation, and also visited a number of foreign countries like South Korea, Bangkok, in relation to his work. Today, Dr. Pradhan will be delivering a talk on National Education Policy 2020 implementation issues. So lastly, I profoundly welcome all the participants who have joined this webinar. I have no doubt that this webinar will be a worthwhile experience for all of us, and I hope we will all be benefited by this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for the formal welcome address of our program. And since now our Honorable Vice Chancellor is not with us, so we will directly go to our chief guest of this program and keynote speaker, Professor C.K. Saluja, sir. Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I am listening.
Yeah, sir. So, सर इस 2 दिवसीय कार्यक्रम में आपका सर हृदय से स्वागत करता हूं और आपको सादर प्रणाम करता हूं और सर आप आमंत्रित हैं अपने व्याख्यान के लिए और हम सभी को अपने आशीष वचनों से अनुग्रहित करने के लिए। प्रोफेसर सी के सालूजा सर।
धन्यवाद। I welcome all of you, Professor H. Maraswamy ji, HOD, Department of Education, Mizoram University, Professor H. C. Rathore ji, Professor K. Ram ji, Professor Ayushman ji, name is also of Professor Pankaj ji, then Prateek ji, and all dear students, guests, I welcome all of you. Namaskar to all, sabhi ko sadar namaskar. Dear brothers and sisters, friends, I'm really at the core of my heart feel highly obliged, thankful, and delighted for your kind and affectionate invitation to be with all of you to express my views on the paradigm shift in the context of our new national.
Sir, sorry to disturb you, sir. आपका कैमरा सर ऑफ है. If you can please on it, sir. It is off, sir. Yes, sir. बिल्कुल. Sir, thank you, sir.
So, in the context of our new national education policy, which was declared on July 29th, 2020, after a long gap of about 34 years, and which has been viewed by your good self as a milestone for the different countries across the globe, as well as largest discussion-based documentary over the higher education and school education of any country. You are very much right in your approach paper about the webinar that this policy has been developed by the comprehensive multi-stage discussions done over the different players of the society. It itself is a sign of paradigm shift in preparing such type of sensitive and important educational document. It is again really very pleasing and heartening that eminent scholars and academicians have been invited from across the country to reflect their views and enlighten us on this enlightened theme, that is National Education Policy 2020, a paradigm shift in Indian education system to transform the country into a flourishing knowledge society, as well as global knowledge superpower with humanitarian and constitutional values, creativity and critical thinking, use of technology, philanthropic, private and community participation, special emphasis over the Indian knowledge system, language, culture, and values. Lok Vidya to enhance local knowledge among our young generation. The research-based experiences and thoughts. Yes, you are very right in saying so. As per this policy, education should act super but soft power to inspire, solve, and face the challenges in the life, as well as to develop the potential of a human being. Beautifully said in our ancient scriptures, Utisthata Jagrata Prapyavaran Nibodhata. Arise, awake, and move ahead to achieve your goal. Yes, education acts as a link between Samashti and Vyashti, that is, individual and society at large. Dear friends, in its opening lines, the policy observes that education is fundamental for achieving full human potential, developing an equitable and just society, and promoting national development, providing universal access to quality education, which is the key to India's continued ascent, progress, and leadership on the global stage. In terms of economic growth, social justice and equality, scientific advancement, national integration, and cultural preservation, universal high quality education is the best way forward for developing and maximizing our country's rich talent and resources for the good of the individual, the society, the country, and the world. India will have the highest population of young people in the world over the next decade, and our ability to provide high quality educational opportunities to them will determine the future of country. Friends, policy puts very clearly three basic goals to be achieved through the process of quality education as per needs of the future of our country. Full human potential, an equitable and just society, and national development. The great rich talent and resource for these goals to be achieved are seen as the highest population of young people. The policy takes a full view, cognizance of our Bharatiya Shiksha, Indian education, and paints a beautiful, comprehensive picture of our changed scenario of education, especially with reference to structural as well as pedagogical, declaring a shift from 10 plus 2 pattern to 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. But with a specific purpose, a purposeful goal based on the principle of equity, so that each and every child of our country be able to get preschooling activity-oriented experiences with its goal of linguistic competency and proficiency, as well as numeracy, as an aid to logical and creative thinking. These foundational literacy and numeracy related activity oriented experiences have been perceived as condition of future education of the child. In the words of this policy, the ability to read and write and perform basic operations with numbers is a necessary foundation and an indispensable prerequisite for all future school and lifelong learning. The policy clearly believes and states that the rest of this policy will become relevant for our students only if this most basic learning requirement, that is reading, writing, and arithmetic at the foundational level, is first achieved. Friends, this is not only a change in pattern, rather a paradigm shift in its vision, goals, or the process of education to achieve the goal of equity as per our constitutional obligation, as well as understanding the importance and power of language in one's individual life as a link between individual and society, to evolve pedagogy to make the education more experiential, holistic, integrated, inquiry-driven, discovery-oriented, learner-centered, discussion-based, flexible, and of course, enjoyable, which needs linguistic skills and logical thinking. Considering language as power, it is thus thought that children will be exposed to different languages early on, but with a particular emphasis on the mother tongue. Starting from the foundational stage onwards, the policy takes care of the gaps between the language spoken by the child and the medium of teaching, and thus is to be bridged. The policy chooses this as a route to all-round development and capacity building of the country's future young generation, with a curriculum which should include basic arts, crafts, humanities, games, sports and fitness, languages, literature, culture, and values, in addition to science and mathematics, to develop all aspects of learners' capabilities and make education more well-rounded, useful, and fulfilling to the learners. Thus, policy proposes the revision and revamping of all aspects of the educational structure, regulations, and governance to create a new system aligned with the aspirational goal of 21st century, with special reference to the Sustainable Development Goals 4, SDG 4, to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all, while remaining consistent with our traditions and values. rooted in our cultural ethos, with a view to develop individuals, having pride in our culture, acknowledge and take forward the unparalleled contribution made by us to human civilization. Our cultural ethos believe that ayogyo purusho nasti yojakas tatra durlabhaha by Chanakya. No one is incapable. Thus, we need a capable manager to recognize the capacity and capability of our young generation. That is the purpose of this NEP 2020, to create capable managers. In this context, beautifully, NEP 2020 remarkably states in its one of the basic principles that beautifully it is said, and the very first principle, recognize and identify the unique capabilities of the child by sensitizing teachers as well as parents. What a remark! Teachers as well as parents, and process sensitizing to promote the child's holistic development with focus not only through academic performance, but in overall sphere of development culled out by keen observation of the child. It can be considered as a precondition to self-reliant India with reference to challenging tasks in a global economic world order as visioned by this NEP 2020. It is based on the principle that education must develop not only cognitive capacities, both the foundational capacities of literacy and numeracy, and higher order cognitive capacities such as critical thinking and problem solving. What a practical approach this policy is taking, but also social, ethical, and emotional capacities and dispositions, including cultural awareness and empathy, perseverance and courage, teamwork and leadership, service and sacrifice, courtesy and sensitivity, oral and written communication, integrity, and work ethic, among others. The policy emphasizes to promote the rich legacies of our country related to sciences, linguistics, arts, culture, but with a vision of must not only be nurtured and preserved for posterity, but also researched beautifully, but researched, enhanced, and put to new uses through our education system, encouraging students to innovate. Again and again, this policy is talking of innovations. What a combination between principles, theory, and practice. One of the basic questions before this policy is integration of knowledge. This policy follows the principle of no hard separation between arts and sciences, between curricular and extracurricular activities, between vocational and academic streams, etc., to ensure the unity and integrity of all knowledge and to eliminate hierarchies among different areas of learning. Even it is being observed as inclusion of shorter modules. Beautifully, they have given this principle. inclusion of shorter modules or courses that are taught on the alternate days in order to allow an exposure to more subjects and enable greater flexibility. The whole process is considered as empowering students through flexibility in course choice, empowering students, not only teachers. They will talk of teachers, but empowering students through flexibility, what they believe in their thinking, in the thinking of the students, capacity of the students, capability of the students. Dear brothers and sisters, in this way, this policy is full of such type of unique features which can be considered as a shifting from the present model to the new model, with specific stress on highest quality, equity, and integrity into the system from early childhood education through higher education, structurally as well as pedagogically. Some of the features, because of constraints of time, I will give only points, because long discussions will be in your different sessions. This policy takes care of foundational literacy and numeracy for all the students as an urgent and necessary prerequisite to learning. Important place and role of informal education, Anganwadis, Balvatika, and ashram shalas in the tribal areas. It talks of institutional restructuring and consolidation, holistic and multiple disciplinary education, optimal learning environment and support, creation of learning environment, standard setting and accreditation for school education. A new point has been added there. Beautifully, it talks of school complexes and clusters and what not. With that, school complex cluster development plans, State School Standard Authority, SSA, and school quality assessment and accreditation framework, SQAAF. More higher educational institutions across the country. But important point will be here, which is seen, searched or researched, stress on local or Indian languages as medium of instructions or programs. A complete overall re-energizing the higher education system to overcome different types of higher education challenges. Again, a new thing, research intensive universities and teaching intensive universities. What imagination. Autonomous degree granting colleges, culture of empowerment and autonomy. For what purpose? To innovate to students as well as teachers. Gradually phasing out the system of affiliated colleges through a system of graded autonomy. Again, academic bank of credit. The 4-year degree programs with research and rigorous research projects. Undertaking a PhD shall require either a master degree or a 4-year bachelor's degree with research. Setting multidisciplinary education and research universities. efficient resourcing, and effective governance through school complexes, clusters for school education. Two whole chapters have been devoted to teacher education. We can just think of what is going on in their mind. Not only these two chapters, even in each and every chapter, the teacher education has been given importance, and it is talking of a bilingual 4 years comprehensive integrated teacher education program for all stages after class 12 with a dual degree in multidisciplinary institutions to have, again, beautiful a word has been used, sensitive teachers. As in principle, they have told, sensitive teachers, how they are stressing on sensitivity, which is called samvedana, to feel the students' thinking, students' experiences. What is on the mind of the students, that when we feel it, then it becomes sensitive. This policy talks of to establish National Research Foundation, transforming the regulatory system of higher education, effective governance and leadership for higher education institutions, strengthening the Central Advisory Board of Education, certificate courses for special educators, may be part-time or full-time. Again and again, this policy is talking of indigenous base of educational theories, and this Indian-based theory consider teaching as a process of research. It is not only giving the instructions. Beautifully said in Taittiriya Upanishad, Pravachanam Sandhanam. Pravachana means teaching. Sandhana means research. So teaching should be taken as a process of research. This policy, when talks of indigenous basis, it has something in mind. The all-round development of the child. And again in Taittiriya Upanishad, a concept of Panchakoshiya Vikas, 5 sheets, development of 5 sheets. Annamaya Kosh, physical development. Pranamaya Kosh, development of our pran. Manomaya, emotional development. Vijnanamaya, intellectual development, as well as Anandamaya. One feels within himself about his astitva. Need and importance of ODL courses again. Special shorter local teacher education programs, specialized certificate courses, supporting the idea of strong linguistic base, especially Indian languages with emphasis and special importance to classical languages, with Pali, Persian, Prakrit, and others. Beautifully, it is talking of preserving endangered and tribal languages, modified flexible 3-language formula with right to choose the language by child and the state, artificial intelligence, design thinking, holistic health, organic living, etc. at relevant stages. Again, beautifully, it is talking of fun courses during grades 6 to 8 and gives importance to local experts, retired people, Indian knowledge system, including tribal knowledge, Beautifully, it talks of art, music, and games-oriented courses and gives logic for all these things. It is thinking of, it has a challenge of dropouts, and for that, it is talking of alternative models for dropouts and children with special capabilities. In the mind of this policy, critical thinking is necessary in the way. So it says lesser content, but more towards learning about how to think critically and solve problems. That is a practical approach to education. How to be creative and multidisciplinary, and how to innovate, adapt, and absorb new material in novel and changing fields. Again, it is talking of and taking a shift, turning shift, a pupil teacher ratio, which is called PTR, of under 30.30 and 1, but in general, but when it takes care of socio-economically disadvantaged people, the students, it talks of 25 and 1. In the areas having large number of socio-economically disadvantaged students. This policy beautifully talks of a national book promotion policy to create a reading culture in the country. It says a national book promotion policy will be developed and extensive initiatives will be undertaken to ensure the availability, accessibility, quality, and readership of the books across geographies, languages, level, and genres. This policy is talking of building character. Education must build character, enable learners to be ethical, rational, compassionate, and caring, while at the same time prepare them for gainful, fulfilling employment. What is sociological principle has been expressed here. Sociological basis of education. Again, assessment is not only to pass. It talks of regular formative assessment with emphasis on conceptual understanding. It talks of three-dimensional assessment. Assessment as, assessment of, assessment for. It talks of 360-degree report card for the whole life of the child. New role of board examination based on conceptual understanding as well as flexibility with more than one attempt. Indigenous sports and pedagogical practices. Indigenous sports. It is not missing to help in developing skills such as collaboration, self-initiative, self-direction, self-discipline, teamwork, responsibility, citizenship. That's why I said in the beginning, it is collaboration between Vyashti and Samashti, that is individual and the society at large. It is talking of extensive use of technology in teaching and learning, okay, but beautifully talks of removing language barriers, increasing access for the young children, and educational planning and management. The dimension has been increased. It talks of establishing National Teachers Portal, the digital infrastructure for knowledge sharing, Diksha, as well as Swayam, National Assessment Center, National Research Foundation, as I told. Beautifully is talking of some projects, giving hints. Ek Bharat, Shreshtha Bharat. Bharat ki bhashaएं, languages of India. Why? gives the reasons. That is a shift. What is going on for languages? I usually say, till today we have not taught the languages. We have just put language course in our courses, in our curriculum, but we have not taught. This policy is talking about the languages. And when it talks of languages of India, it says to learn about the remarkable unity of most of the major Indian languages, starting with their common phonetic and scientifically arranged alphabets and scripts, their common grammatical structures, their origins and source of vocabularies, and also learn what geographical areas speak which languages, get a sense of the nature and structure of the tribal languages, what importance is given to the tribal culture. And they may be able to say a few lines in every major language of India and a bit about the rich and uplifting literature of each. This policy is not missing the sign language. It talks of Indian Sign Language, ISL, will be standardized across the country, and national and state curriculum materials developed for use by the students with hearing impairment. Support for gifted students, students with special talents, local knowledge, flexibility on the principle of no hard separation, as I told. It is talking of recommendation of set of books, not only one textbook, set of textbooks at the choice of teachers, keeping nature of his or her student as well as social conditions in mind. It is talking of continuous professional development of teachers, as well as National Professional Standard for Teachers, NPST, and gives the module 50 hours of CPD, that is continuous professional development per year, covering different aspects of the teacher, leadership and management, as well as content and pedagogy for the teaching and pedagogy leadership aspects of their jobs, with a focus on preparing and implementing pedagogical plans based on competency and outcome-based education. Beautifully, it is talking to declare special education zones. It is taking the view of RPWD Act 2016 and Compulsory Education Act 2009. It is talking of National Skills Qualification Framework and SQF. It says education as a public service. It talks of principles of light but tight, regulatory framework to ensure integrity, transparency, and resource efficiency of the educational system through audit and public disclosure. Higher Education Commission of India, it is recommending. It is also talking of National Higher Education Regulatory Council, keeping standards of the higher education in the country. Higher Education Grant Council, General Education Council, Professional Standard Setting Bodies, PSSBs, Eminent Expert Committee. It is talking of Board of Governors. It is talking of adult education and lifelong learning. It is talking of adult education centers as an integral part of school complexes. High quality programs and degrees in translation and interpretation. Keeping the world knowledge in the mind. Art and music, museum administration, archaeology, Arctic conservation, graphic design, and web design within the higher education system will also be created. Advanced country, the world overall has strong programs in these areas, so we should also have. It is talking of Indian Institute of Translation and Interpretation. It is talking of National Educational Technology Forum. Natural language processing for India's diverse languages. Beautifully, it gives due attention to children of migrant laborers. It says very clearly that children of migrant laborers and other children who are dropouts schools due to various circumstances and be brought back into mainstream education. Understanding the need and importance to empower the teachers, this policy wants that a very best and brightest candidate should enter the teaching professions at all levels by ensuring teachers their livelihood, respect, dignity, and autonomy, while also installing in the system basic methods of quality control and accountability. The curriculum must include basic arts, crafts, humanities, games, sports, and fitness, languages, literature, culture. Why they are talking of these things? Gives the reason in addition to sciences, why these are needed. It gives reason for that in introduction in the first chapter even. There will be a growing demand for humanities and art as India moves towards becoming a developed country and among the three largest economies in the world. It is talking, when it is talks of multidisciplinary institutions for teacher education, gives the reasons. Because teacher education requires multidisciplinary inputs and education in high quality content as well as pedagogy. Thus, all teachers programs must be conducted within composite multidisciplinary institutions. Therefore, B.Ed programs to educate future teachers in collaboration with other departments such as psychology, philosophy, sociology, neurosciences, Indian languages, arts, music, history, and literature, as well as various other specialized subjects such as science and mathematics. When it talks of art integrated courses or music integrated or games integrated, in curriculum, chapter 4, it says art integration is a cross-curricular pedagogical approach that utilizes various aspects and forms of art and culture as a basis for experiencing the learning of concepts across subjects. As a part of the thrust on experiential learning, art integrated education will be embedded in the classroom transaction, not only for creating joyful classrooms, but also for imbibing the Indian ethos through integration of Indian art and culture in the teaching and learning process at every level. This art integrated approach will strengthen the linkages between education and culture. Friends, brothers and sisters, I view this policy a total, which wants to bring a total shift what is going on. It beautifully says what type of a good education institution be. It looks at a good education institution as, it says, A good education institution is one in which every student feels welcomed and cared for, where a safe and stimulating learning environment exists, where a wide range of learning experiences are offered, and where good physical infrastructure and appropriate resources conducive to learning are available to all students. Attaining these qualities must be the goal of every individual education institution. What a beauty! It is explaining as education institution as a personality, a person being. Every individual education institution, what a use of the language. At the same time, there must also be seamless integration and coordination across institutions and across all stages of education. It says to create the learning environment. So it says curriculum, pedagogy, continuous assessment, and student sports are thus the cornerstones of quality learning, not quality teaching, quality learning. Beautifully, curriculum, pedagogy, continuous assessment, which is called as a formative, and student sport are thus the cornerstones of quality learning. Till today, we were talking of quality teaching. It is talking of quality learning, along with providing suitable resources and infrastructure, such as quality libraries, classrooms, labs, technology, sports, recreation areas, student discussion. What a recreation area! Student discussion, spaces, and dining areas. To support these necessary ingredients, a number of initiatives will be required on these matters to ensure that learning environments are engaging and supportive and enable all students to succeed. Thus, my friends, brothers and sisters, I feel the whole perspective of this holistic policy can be mirrored as what a beauty it has said in the beginning, the first chapter even. And throughout the policy, this has been kept for learning environment. And it says, children not only learn, but more importantly, learn how to learn. Learn how to learn. I feel this is the whole scenario. It is a shift from what to learn to how to learn. I will repeat, it is a shift from what to learn to how to learn. The whole policy is depending on this condition. That's why it is giving importance to, for all the students, the linguistic efficiency in the beginning, in the first 5 years. That's why I will repeat this sentence. It is, in fact, for me, the whole crux of this policy. Children not only learn, but more importantly, learn how to learn, a shift from what to learn to how to learn. With this, I am so thankful to all of you. आप सबके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a very wonderful lecture. You have taken us on the journey of overall National Education Policy 2020. You have enlightened us with the concept of self-reliant India that our policy is trying to address. and unity and integrity of our country. Along with this, we have focused on a very specific aspect of humane teacher that we are really having concern for that, sir. So overall, thank you so much, sir, for giving your valuable time and sharing your grassroots experiences to all of us. And I would like to take few questions, sir, with you. As there are few questions in the chat box. One question is asked that what is the main theme of this National Education Policy 2020? Sir.
As I told,
Yes.
how to learn, not only learn, but how to learn. The whole gambit is basically moves around how to learn. That's why creation of learning environment, not only creation of teaching. Yes, teaching will be there, but learning is more important, and how to learn, in my opinion, is more important. The whole policy is moving around this one.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And one last question I would like to take due to the lack of time in this our program. How this policy will help in the overall improvement of our curriculum?
I think each and every word of this, when it talks of flexibility, no hard separation. I know I was a science student, but I wanted to learn Sanskrit. Anyhow, I got it. People who are scientists, they want to learn music. If they are given, art is given, their creativity come forward. I feel by flexibility with the principle of no hardships, then again structure, as it is saying of the schools or complexes or the clusters. It is talking of higher education in more wider perspective. Each and every sentence is basically talking of to improve the educational standard. Thank you for that. आपका ऑफ हो गया है, म्यूट हो गया है.
Yeah, sir, I really thank you, sir, on the behalf of our head and overall whole family of Mizoram University. And I'm very happy to say that our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor J.K. Patnaik, sir, has also joined. And sir, please address all of us. Sir, am I audible to you? Yeah, Patnaik, sir, am I audible to you? I think there is some little problem, sir. He is trying to join. Sir, am I audible, sir? I think there is some little network problem, sir.
Now, audible?
Yeah. Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Actually, I have.
Yes, sir, we see that there is a network problem. I think he is not able to join due to network connectivity, sir. But anyway, sir, once again, our heartfelt thanks to you for giving your time and sharing your valuable experiences with all of us, sir.
थैंक यू, धन्यवाद सबको, नमस्कार. मेरी एक और मीटिंग है, अभी उसमें जाऊंगा.
सर, थैंक यू सर.
और फिर दोबारा इसे ज्वाइन करूंगा, सुनूंगा.
जी सर, जी सर.
होने वाली होगी, मैं पुनः मिलता हूँ. धन्यवाद. थैंक्स.
धन्यवाद सर.
Hello.
Sir,
hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir. Yes. Sir.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Not clearly, but we can hear you, sir.
Slowly, I will pick up, maybe. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, thank you, sir, for coming, sir.
I'm getting actually. Hello.
Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir. Please, sir.
Hello.
Sir, you are audible, sir.
Am I? Okay, okay. I'm really thankful to all of you for having me in this program. I listened to the keynote speaker. He did.
So I think sir has lost his connection. And now I think with us we have respected Professor Ramesh Ghanta sir. Sir, can you listen? Can you hear us, sir? Ramesh sir. Sir, am I audible to you, sir? I think there is some network connection.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no. Actually, I was being muted.
Okay, sir.
Please unmute me. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. Let me speak at least 2 sentences.
Yes, sir.
Because
Please.
after all, you requested me, and I
Yes,
have
yes,
to
sir.
really speak something. I listened to the keynote speaker, Professor Salunke, and I was really impressed just to lecture he presented. And I was also happy that the Department of Education is organizing such a wonderful webinar. Hello, am I audible?
Sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let me just briefly tell about this webinar that you have organized. This is very timely and also very important from the point of view of our university as well as from the national point of view, because there is a need to have great understanding and awareness about the new national education policy. And as many of you are aware of the fact that this new education policy, most education got in our purpose was to connect our education ecosystem with our roots, with our traditions, with our culture. The fundamental principle of this national education policy is to emphasize the principles that are enshrined in our principles and the goals that are enshrined in our constitution. Principles such as equity, autonomy, freedom, transparency, all these things that are there that need to be, put.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you please, okay, you just cut me out. Okay, you go ahead with your program. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you, sir.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. And now we would like to start the first technical session of this program. And our first speaker, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Central University of South Bihar, is not able to join us immediately due to some administrative work. So we are trying to go to our second speaker, Professor K. Ramji sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, B.R. Ambedkar University, Srikakulam. So there is some technical issue. We will just join in a minute. Please be with us. Sir, pranam, sir. Yes, sir, you are muted, sir. Please unmute yourself.
Pranam.
Thank you, sir, for coming. We are just moving ahead for the technical session first, sir.
Thank you, Pratik. Thank you, Pratik.
Thank you, sir. And I apologize for the little technical problem that we have. We will just continue our first technical session in a minute.
Okay.
Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Kuna Ramji, sir, is trying to connect due to some technical problem. He is unable to connect.
Okay. Hello, Kavita. How are you? Kavita ji.
Hello, sir. Good evening. Good morning, sir. I'm good, sir. I'm fine. How are you, sir?
Nice to see you. I am fine also. Now interview is going on. Our orientation is going on. I am
Okay.
attending three things at a time.
Yes, sir. Nice to see you, sir. And kindly accept my pranam.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
It's a lovely and beautiful place, Mizoram.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes.
With your blessings, sir, we are here.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, can you hear me? Professor Ramji, sir. Sir, am I audible to you, sir?
Sir, Rao garu, namaste.
Yeah. Sir, namaste. Sir, can you hear us, sir?
Audible.
Yeah. So thank you, sir, for coming and giving your valuable time. And now, since I apologize for the technical issues that we have, and now without taking so much of time, I invite you for your session, sir. Sir, it's over to you, sir. Please.
Okay. Once again, welcome to the entire family members of Mizoram University, which is having its own credentials under the leadership of Professor Samsivara garu. I am the Vice Chancellor, Professor K. Ramji, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University, Srikakulam, and we are implementing this National Education Policy 2020 in the 4 aspects. One is outreach and extension activities. We have a success story in this university. The second is outcome-based education. And third is open distance learning, online distance learning, that is open distance learning in online mode. That is one thing we have recently applied because we submitted NAC to SSR also. And multi-point, multi-entry vocational courses, so UGC has given recently, that also we are taking care. So these are the 4 initiatives we already started in the direction of National Education Policy 2020. So now today I'm interested to touch upon some of the issues of national education policy. If you can refer the higher education institutions, there is a lot of scope. Sky is a limit for this new education policy. If you can see the first industry revolution, in that particular case, only some countries are popular. Some countries only it is confined and it is they are doing. When it is coming to the second industry revolution, company is popular. Like some companies, X, Y, Z. When it is in the third industry revolution, the automation has started because of ICT enabled tools also help to do automation in the manufacturing as well as in the other sectors, service industry as well as product development. In both the industries, automation has initiated. Then when it is coming to the fourth industry revolution, that is industry 4.0, what type of jobs are coming, we don't know, depend upon that, what type of tools using by the industry. Accordingly, the jobs will create. So that is where the job potential will create the entire, not only the India, the entire global. Accordingly, we have to prepare our students. See, that's why this majors and minor degree, multi-point entry, multi-point exit, either degree can be 3 years or 4 years, PG can be 1 year or 2 years. See, like this, the honors degrees, major degree, minor degree, etc., as introduced in this particular national education policy. If you can see the commissions in the education policies, University Education Commission is given in after independence, it is given in 1948-49. Then Secondary Education Commission in 1952-53. One National Education, that is the Patari Commission, Education Commission in 64-66. Then 68 National Policy of Education. After that, 42nd Constitutional Amendment in 1976. Then New Policy of Education, NP in 1986. Then TSR Subramanian Committee in 26th May 2016. Now it is a Kasturi Rangan Committee report. Released draft on 31st May 2019. And they asked any suggestions from all stakeholders. And finally, they released the National Education Policy 2020 recent. Nearly, you know very well, the 2.5 lakh gram panchayats are there in this country. 676 districts. This is the data in the year 2015. Whatever we are doing, it has to reach these two people. That's what one of the, as a member in the education family, my request to all the faculty, you have to realize that that is what is the dream of Mahatma Gandhi. Whatever we are doing, if it is to be reached to the rural part of India, then it is a success of that higher education. The purpose of higher education is only producing PhD thesis or a MA, MSc or MD, MTech degree thesis or diploma, PG diploma, whatever it may be. How much it is transforming to the improvement of the quality of life of a common man. How many problems, society problems you are solving? How many industry problems we are solving? How to reduce that gap? See, this is very, very important. Is this 2.5 lakh gram panchayat and 676 districts? Is it audible, sir?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. See, whatever we are doing, first our major objective is it has to reach to the rural part. Why? Because they don't have money. Whatever the schemes are being given by the government, as you know, mostly agriculture, education, health, etc. The government is spending huge amount of money. The COVID-19 has given an opportunity to look back to solve some of these issues. See, that's why please keep in mind how best we can serve the nation through these 2.5 lakh gram panchayats and 676 districts in the entire country. No need of going beyond. If you surround your institution, adapt some villages. Each department can adapt some village. We have done like that. Each department is adapted one village, and we have done SWOT analysis. And what are the strengths, weaknesses we have identified. Accordingly, our students and faculty, they are going and whatever they are learning, they are transforming. We have developed proper ecosystem in that direction. That's why I'm saying it is a success story in our institution. As far as this is concerned. Then it is approved also in, then if you can come to the another important target of this national education policy is 50% of gross enrollment, GER, gross enrollment ratio by 2035. This is one of the target. At present, it is around 30, national average, 27, 28 in between. Now that has to almost double, 50% by 2035. This is one of the target of this new education policy. The holistic and multidisciplinary education, there is no bar between arts and science or engineering. Those walls are removed. Multiple entry, that's which I already mentioned, multiple entry, multiple exit. Integrated UG courses, PG courses, and 1 year or 2 year PG programs, 3 or 4 year UG programs. Credit and academic bank of credit. Some bank, like national banks, we will create some bank. From that, the student can do on his choice. It may be arts group, or it may be science group, or it may be an engineering group. Research intensive teaching, research in universities and autonomous degree, more autonomous colleges, more multidisciplinary education and research universities. That's what the name coined as MERU. In every district, it has to be started. Another important point is graded autonomy. Most of the institutions affiliated to the universities. That is one thing which has to be minimized. More autonomous to be given. No affiliation. Try to minimize the affiliation system in 15 years. Phasing out affiliation system. Autonomy is graded autonomy, like academic, administrative, financial autonomy. Each institute has their own board of governors. They have to take, that is the decentralization, basically, governance point of view. The single regulator for higher education, excluding legal and medical, or they have to bring into one That is what is Ministry of HRD becomes now Ministry of Education. That they already done. Online self-disclosure based transparent system. That is they are going to introduce by using this ICT enabled technologies. Common norms for public and private higher education institution. There is no separation between whether you're government or quasi or private. The same rules like fee fixation. And another important point, public investment in education sector to reach 60% of GDP as early as possible. These are some of the major things in national education policy as for higher education institution are concerned. The other important issues are they want to start one national research foundation, NRF, and internationalization of education, that is globalization. We have to attract more number of students from other countries, either online teaching or any degree. I think your university also moving in that direction very fast way. Integration of vocational and teacher and professional education. These to be integrated. That's where the integration courses to be started. Setting up of new quality higher education institution has been made mandatory. Quality, not quantity. How many institutions have? How many are the quality institutions? Some benchmarks. And professional education institutions as well as other higher education institutions to move towards multidisciplinary courses, credits, transfers, etc. And then one more important point is special education zone for disadvantaged regions like backward or the tribal areas and socially disadvantaged groups. For them, we have to start special education zones and some national institution for some languages, linguistics, etc. National Education Technology Forum, that is what is NETF. These are some of the initiatives to be done to and towards Indian national knowledge systems, language, culture, and values. In that particular direction, also some like literature, scientific vocabulary of Indian languages, research on languages, strengthening national institutions for promotion of classical language and literature like music, dance, fine arts, etc. Of translation and interpretation. This is one more area the government want to start some more institution. Cultural awareness of our Indian knowledge systems, promoting arts and Lokvidya. See, these are some of the, we have to encourage artists. And another important point in this particular education policy is use of technology, ICT enabled technology. That is a digital education, digital technology. This is one of the thrust of this new education policy. We have every stakeholder, every family member of education has to be acquainted with the technology. Student, faculty, all stakeholders, even parents, alumni, industry, and district officials, state officials, mandal officials, panchayat level officials, everyone has to develop proper ecosystem by using a technology. Either planning of education, teaching, learning and assessment, and administration and management like governance, regulation like MHA and the Minister of Education and other bodies. Anything has to use as much as possible technology. Because COVID is also has given one lesson in this particular direction. As much as possible, now how we are engaging this particular event today, similarly you have to plan some more activities. Increasing access to almost all group of whoever want higher education, we are ready to give access. And software for Divyang people, they like education softwares, friendly softwares, we have to give some concentration in that particular direction. And e-content, which is already developed by MHR and the Ministry of Education, earlier MHRD, like Swayam, NPTEL, EPG Pathshala, etc., in the form of all e-learning resource material to be used by a faculty and students for research, teaching, learning, and all directions, and development of e-content also in a Swayam or any other networks, Swayam DTH channels, see, etc. And virtual labs, because COVID, if it is not possible offline, some virtual labs by using AR, VR systems, we can do virtual labs. Virtual lab of teaching and learning is one thing which you have to catch now. And digitization of all things in schools as well as colleges, in almost all higher education institutions. And one more important point is the national mission on the foundational literacy and numeracy and pedagogical structure. This is a continuous learning, as you know very well. The changes in the things we have to try to learn as much as possible by using this particular 5+3+3+4 concept curriculum. We have to develop. That means the student, suppose after completing 2 years of BTech or any like PG, if you want to start an industry or want to become an entrepreneur, we have to allow such a student. That's what is the gap here. Then if you want to continue later, again he can continue, he or she. That is what the multi-point entry, multi-point exit system to be encouraged as then regarding the latest, as far as the technical education is concerned, because today I want to concentrate a little bit more on that. The current edge technologies which are required for job potential, future job creation, the government is thinking that maybe moving in this particular, these are some of the areas like the technology involving in future is artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchains, technology, smart boards, handheld devices, adaptive computer testing, and other forms of both the software and hardware. I mentioned few like cyber security, 3D printing, etc. See, these are the areas there is a possibility of more jobs may create because of industry or you may be using these are the tools. So now we have to provision in NEP, use of some of these courses integration with the existing courses. We don't say that the existing courses are not good, but how to attract the job-oriented courses, skill-based courses, skill-enhanced employable courses. We have to, in that we can, we have to integrate some of these courses. And which I already mentioned, National Education Technology Forum, that is NETF, is facilitating decision making on induction, deployment, and use of technology in different fields. This is one organization is started. We can use their services. Then policy recommendations and key initiatives towards online and digital education, which I already mentioned, SWAYAM and other things. Regulations in connection with the use of technology under new education policy. But whatever the points which I am mentioning, all those points are related to the new jobs creation policies, then how to implement the technology, and what are the regulating agencies which can help us in that particular direction. See, this is one area I think I'm requesting. I think your university is conducting number of online classes as well as online webinars, wonderfully doing under the leadership of Samseva. But what I want to say is try to give more exposure to the throughout the entire country and continuous practical training, hands-on training may be given, may be useful entire your people will be benefited, your stakeholders, and the entire country will also be benefited if you can make some action plan in this particular direction. Now, regarding the other issues, as you know very well, the new education policy, it has started. Honorable President of India is on 7th September 2020, and Honorable Prime Minister has given valuable messages on 7th September 2020 to how best we can implement effectively these particular policies in proactive manner to ensure that the progressive measures contemplated under the policy are implemented in the higher education system in the entire country. In this national education policy, challenges to all the stakeholders and to realize their dream, and we have to overcome those issues, and we have to play a role model in the country in this particular. In this, as you know, ours is a robust public education system. Why, if you can see the Western or European country, so they have same language, same culture, almost same food habits. But if you see our country, if you can travel every 100 kilometers or 200 kilometers, the language is changing, the culture is changing, the food habits are changing. That's why our system is very robust public education system. There is a vibrant democratic society. Therefore, strengthening of these public education institutions is vital for achieving the desired outcomes. We have a lot of challenges in that particular direction. A modern education system based on Indian values and ethos needs to be developed. Under any circumstances, we should not compromise the value-based education system. That is mandatory disclosure. We have to maintain. And it is necessary to end the fragmentation of higher education system by transforming these higher education system into the multidisciplinary universities. That is one thing we have to change now. Not like only technical institution or only like specific course. That we have to now change that pattern. Under any circumstances, student, we have to, by changing these things, we have to provide a quality of education. That is what is the quality of education with more flexibility, accessibility, and employability. There are around 10 specialized universities and 12 multidisciplinary universities in the state, if you take in our state. But now some of those, the only technical universities, they want to convert it into multidisciplinary universities also. And more vibrant curriculum, we have to concentrate, depend upon the need of the industry, depend on the need of the society. We have to develop the curriculum. Then ODL. This is one thing I think your university is applied. All program, curriculum, pedagogy, including in class, online, and online is different from open and distance learning. These are the two modes, as well as student support systems like LMS, HMS, etc. We have to utilize as much as possible to get the quality. I don't say that only this will give quality, this will enhance the quality of education system. This is one tool which can enhance the teaching, learning, and evaluation process. Then opportunities for higher education should be created for everyone to develop a vibrant and equitable knowledge society. This is very, very important as in the new education policy. This is one of the important aspect. We have to nurture the student with national pride as well as the sense of global well-being, who can truly become a global citizens. That's once again a value-based system. Our education is having that is a strong foundation. You know very well Nalanda, Takshila. Once upon a time, those are very, very popular in this particular direction. See, now you see the situation of those institutions. See, that's why we have to revive the things, the value under any circumstances, we should not compromise the value education system. Now, I request to you, all the participants today and the resource persons should focus on some of these issues which I am mentioning now. See, another 15 to 20 minutes, I will touch upon these are some of these issues. Introduce skill development programs. The government of India is encouraging like anything, because in our system, the quality is a question mark. The number of institutions are there, more than 1,000 universities. Number of students are coming in almost all fields of education, but the quality and skill is a question mark. See, now we have to, now this is the policy, new education policy, as well as the government of India, as well as almost all state governments, is giving a lot of support towards these two. Fund is not a problem in this country. Please try to understand. The will and vision, your objective should be very clear. Introduce skill development programs and ensure that the students are given adequate training on life skills, communication skills, hardware skills, software. What are the skills which, what I can say, what are the skills which are required for the 21st century skills? And especially the personality development to become a good manager. You got a 99% marks, but you are unable to open your mouth. No one will give a job to you. To you means to your student or anybody. See, that's why the life skills, the communication skills, hardware skills, sort like HR skills. These are some of the skills which are needed in 21st century. This is one very, very important point. Skill-based training as well as skill enhancement. Once you can once you can deliver that is relieve the student from your campus with skills as well as with quality, he can adjust anywhere. No need of your institution giving job. He will get the job for any amount of money. Then the second important point is the universities and colleges should be evolved as a social transforming agencies and nurturing the student as value-based and responsible citizens of the country. That means not all job seekers, some of the persons should be job creators. Social transforming, that is social entrepreneurship, like waste management, rural management. You can nurture the student, the value-based as well as responsible citizen of the country. He can do wonders to us. He can bring good name to our institution as well as in total to the entire country. So this is one point which I want to emphasize. Next, another important thing, the new education policy is given innovation like innovations, incubation, startups, and commercialization of product. These are the areas where that is only possible if we can solve societal problems and industry problems and more practical training, more experience learning, more practical based learning. If we can encourage students in that particular direction, we can do all these things. This is one thing which is more emphasis is given. Promote creativity and research skills, creative thinking, and transform universities as research universities and ensure research outcomes of international standards. That is very, very important. The publishing articles in quality journals, high impact, high index, Scopus or SCI index or high Google Scholar rating, either student level, UG level or PG level or faculty level, we have to maintain those standards, international standards. That is very, very important. Not how many publications you have, how many quality publications. Is there any research outcome? See, this is another important point which we have to concentrate. Then the government programs like Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, we are doing good in that particular direction. Your institution is also doing good. But like all 1,000 universities can participate, such a wonderful programs initiated by Ministry of Education, like Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat, Atmanirbhar Bharat, some of these programs. How many students like Atal FDP programs, like started by AICT. How many of we are using? Those things are very, very important. Should be implemented in the almost all institutions. Then promote extracurricular activities, community engagement programs, cultural programs, and co-curricular activities to develop holistic personality in students. This is very, very important. See what we are teaching in the class, please see that in the market, 50% weightage. The remaining 50% is looking, these are the skills which I mentioned earlier, skill-based training as well as skill enhancement, and personality development like life skills or communication or HR skills. Similarly, this is another tool which is very, very important. Extracurricular activities, co-curricular activities other than curricular. Community engagement programs. Here I am giving a small example. In Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University, every Saturday, our students, faculty have to go to the villages, no classwork. The purpose of the going village is they have to adapt the village. Whatever they're studying, they have to transform. What are the best practice in the village? They can learn. And they can conduct the medical camps by using local NGOs. And district officials, what are the programs, the welfare schemes, etc., designed by the central government, state government, we try to conduct some of awareness programs to the rural part of India. And we have developed a proper ecosystem with district officials, state officials, mandal officials. If any problem is not solved in villages, we are acting as a catalyst. We try to solve those problems. See, this is where we are. What are their problems, like the environmental problems, like drainage and other problems? We are conducting awareness programs as well as we are involving the other stakeholders to rectify those problems and improving the quality of life of a common man in the villages, like ODF, etc. See, these are some of the things which we are encouraging for holistic development of the student. Then affiliate college shall be encouraged, mentored, supported, and incentivized to gradually attain the minimum benchmarks. In that, no compromise. Under any circumstances, every institution has to maintain the quality benchmarks, like accreditations, like results, quality, that is how many students are getting passed and how many are getting jobs and how many are becoming an entrepreneur, how many internships the students are doing, how many industrial training, how many the industrial widgets, etc. These are some of the things we have to see that not only the university affiliate college also has to be improved quality, because from the affiliate college more number of students are coming compared with the in-campus, or sometimes equal, but more cases affiliate college students are more than the campus students. That's why we have to give more weightage on the how to improve the quality of those institutions. Then create additional capacity as per the needs of, because the population is increasing, as you know, as per the need, we are in a position to increase the additional capacity. No one should be deprived of higher education due to limitation of capacity. See the alternatives for such cases wherever there is a demand, and design and develop ODL courses offered to students to increase GER, because that is another target, gross enrollment ratio 50% by 2035. Then develop a plan for phasing out of the system of affiliate colleges. This is another which I already mentioned. By first strengthening the institution, then give a phase out of affiliation system. All eligible colleges, who are eligible colleges, by maintaining the benchmarks. The ABC, that's what the academic bank of credit shall be established. You have to do a lot of exercise for that. You have to digitally store the academic credits. Most of the recognized, not only in our case, You have to make collaborations, MOU with other institutions. Some credits you can allow student to do in the other institution also. Suppose if it is not there in our institution, make collaboration with the other institution. Set up the startup incubation centers, technology development centers, centers in frontier areas of research, and focus on greater academic industry linkages. So these are some of the very important part in new generation of people. You know, demographic dividend. Our country is having a lot of youngsters. They are very good. That's why that particular youth you have to give a direction towards more startups, incubation, technology development centers, centers in frontier areas of research and focus. Develop networking with the industry, funding agencies, research institutions within and outside the country. No need of always to don't think about the money, or you can capture the human resource from the people. You can get the expertise from the industry or from funding agencies or research institutions. Promote creativity and autonomy to innovate on matters of curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment. Another important point is now we have to concentrate blended learning system, integrating with a conventional classroom teaching with online teaching, and develop your own learning management system. That is what I mentioned, LMS, to provide access to the students all the time. This is very important. Once again, I am repeating the blended learning system, integrating conventional classroom teaching and online teaching, and develop learning management systems to provide access to the students all the time. And also the performance assessment system of the faculty and students should be dynamic. Dynamic means I have seen in Stanford University, once the class is over, immediately within 1 minute, the student will give the feedback on that day itself. For a particular class, like they will give you the feedback. That's what. We are the institution may not be in Stanford level, but instead of semester ending and feedback, maybe increase that frequency. That's what I want to say. A dynamic performance appraisal system by internal people as well as internal audit as well as external audit teams. Create strong internal systems for good governance and institutional development. This governance is very important. If leader is good, teamwork is good, then only the fruits will come. Develop a short, medium, and long-term institutional IDP, institution development plan, based on your SWOT analysis, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges. You have to prepare your strategic plan. That's what the institution development plan shall include employable potential of the region as well as aspirations of the graduates. Under any circumstance, you should not underestimate your region. That's very important. Establish career counseling centers and counseling centers that deals with the emotional well-being of students in the universities as well as colleges. This is very important. Career counseling guidance is very important because we are the people, we joined the same job and we are retiring also the same job. But the future is not like that. What type of jobs are coming? What is the period that those jobs are sustainable? We don't know. See, that's why our student, once leaving the campus, he or she to be equipped with all the tools as much as possible. That's where we have to need a lot of career counseling to be given to the student to sustain. Suppose a PG student of 2 years, he has sustained another 7 to 10 years with the tools what we have given, even if there is a change in the market, changes in the market. Strengthen the student mentoring in all institutions, very important. Why I am mentioning this point is, let us to be frankly, most of the institutions we are doing counseling, mentoring at very normal level. I am not saying that we are not doing, but that is not sufficient. Now the COVID psychological problems, continuously you have to in touch with the student, not only in the regular class, you have to monitor your student like your own children. That is very important by using mentor-mentee concept. Introduce liberal arts programs in almost all colleges. Organize teacher training programs and FDP capacity building programs frequently. In this, your institution is doing very wonderfully good. No doubt about that. develop plans to introduce vocational programs and to integrate vocational training with conventional programs. What are the programs which are not good, not demand driven? Such course you have to integrate with the vocational programs and try to attract more number of students. Because if students should be there, then only the education institution. Otherwise, there is no question. That's why we have to see that instead of phased out of the courses which are not on demand, try to integrate with the vocational courses, try to improve. That is also another. Strengthen the system by encouraging and supporting performing colleges. And obviously, there is no room for non-performing institutions. You have to take stringent measures on such non-standard maintaining colleges in the education system. So these are some of the points which are there in the national education policy. So with some of the examples, what we are doing, and one important point is the two best practices which are already there in the national education policy. For arts, science and engineering, outcome-based education, we have introduced 3 years back. Because engineering we are using from since 10 to 15 years, no problem. Outcome-based education, as per Washington Accord and things we are following as per the government direction. But arts and science still so many universities they have not implemented, but we have done that. And another important point which I already mentioned, success story, is the outreach activities, extension activities, field visits, community engagement programs. See, this is one area we are very, very good in that particular aspect. See, as per the new education policy, before this only we already implemented long back, 3 years back, these two for all courses in all programs in like multidisciplinary direction, multi-entry and multi-exit also. Some programs we already started. See, once again, thank you very much for the entire family members of Mizoram University for giving this wonderful opportunity to interact with you on national education policy, especially Professor Rao garu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your informative session and spend your valuable time. Thank you, sir. We have some questions.
Thank you.
We have some questions, sir, but time concerns, so we will send to your mail, sir. We want to speak.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, one and all. Next, we would like to invite our eminent speaker and good administrator, Professor Ramesh Ganta. In this session, we are extremely privileged to have you with all of us. So kindly enlighten all of us on National Education Policy 2020, challenges ahead to teacher educators. It is over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Am
Yes.
I audible?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Samsirao garu, Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Patnaik, and my learned colleagues in the School of Education, Mizoram University, and very distinguished participants who are taking part in this webinar. As this webinar is planned and organized by the School of Education, when they asked me about the topic, I thought it will be more appropriate to have some discussion about the role of teacher educators across the nation, how to gear up themselves to address the challenges made in the national policy of 2020. Since morning and also since last couple of months, lot of discussion is taking place on this unique policy of NEP 2020. As a student of education, I have gone through and experienced 3 policies besides several commissions on education, more particularly the policy that is of 68, followed by 1986, program of action of 1992, and the present policy of NEP 2020. All these 3 policies are very comprehensive, and more particularly this policy is unique when compared to other 2 policies. This policy is rather contextual and comprehensive, with encompassing the education beginning from early childhood care education to the advanced research. They have not left any aspect of education untouched. The second most important thing is this policy. I'm not going into the details of the policy because the earlier speakers have delineated in detail the timeline that they prescribed along with learning outcomes. This is again a unique characteristic of this policy. For each level of education, learning outcomes are prescribed, and a timeline is suggested. By 2025 this is to be done, by 2030 this is to be done, by 40 it should be like this. Never it happened earlier. And in addition to that, maybe because of COVID or whatever may be the other reason, the first citizen of this country, His Excellency the President of India, the Vice President of India, Prime Minister, and his cabinet colleagues, and several governors across the country deliberated upon the NEP 2020. It is a clear indication that how the government is serious about revamping education by way of extending all possible support to this policy of 2020. And I am sure and hope some concrete things will emerge in the days to come. In that context, particularly the teacher educators who are expected to play a more widened role in the given context. Because if you look at the policy documents or the reports of committees and commissions, at least since independence, no report is not discussed about teacher education, because teacher education and education are interwoven. No system of education will survive on a weak system of teacher education. But unfortunately, even after 70 years or 75 years of independence, still teacher education in this country is used only to prepare the teachers for the school system. We have not come out of that particular ambit of preparing teachers for the schools. When we use the word teacher, it is not just somebody who is teaching at the school. Everybody associated with the process of education from the beginning to the end are teachers, and they belong to the family of teaching. So therefore, this particular policy of 2020 clearly stated the role and responsibility of teacher education, cutting across the disciplines of knowledge and levels of education. Therefore, I thought it will be appropriate to share some of my observations with regard to the teacher educators and the challenges. Because hitherto, most of us as teacher educators mostly confined to design and practice teacher education programs, though there are many, but most of the time our focus is only towards preparation of elementary, secondary, and sometimes masters in education, nothing more than that. But now, when you carefully look at the policy 2020, the responsibility that is entrusted to the teachers is something very, very unique, because each and every expectation included in the policy will have a demand from the teachers, whether it is school education or higher education or research, cutting across the disciplines again. So therefore, it is the responsibility of the teacher educators to design several programs, not only to prepare the teachers, but to motivate and empower the teachers working at different levels of education. Because this is the policy which clearly stated the learning outcomes. For example, how many of our learned colleagues working in the institutions of higher learning, no doubt they are the masters of their subject knowledge, but unfortunately in this country, they were not exposed to the other part of the coin, that is pedagogical approaches. So therefore, we are not able to extract the best of such talented teachers working in other disciplines of knowledge in terms of making our students to realize the learning outcomes. So therefore, this policy clearly stated that the responsibility of teacher education is not just confined to the Department of Education. It is not out of context to make a mention that the Honorable Prime Minister, while inaugurating Inter-University Center for Teacher Education at Banaras Hindu University, he used a very interesting phrase. What he wants out of teacher education, he could state in one sentence, that is, Acha Shiksha, Ache Shikshak. Quality education is possible with good teachers, committed teachers, empowered teachers, motivated teachers. Like that you can. In absence of such an empowered teacher, whatever may be the curriculum, whatever may be the policies, whatever may be the infrastructural facilities made available, whatever may be the technological support that we extend into the system of education will become futile. Therefore, teachers play a very important and vital role in the entire process of education. This is not new thing, but that is there since ages. But unfortunately, more particularly in the recent years, we are not recognizing the teacher and their role in the process of education, though we expect many things out of education, including the excellence in education. So now, when you look at the global scenario, a lot of research is taking place, more particularly in the pedagogical sciences. Unfortunately, in our country, most of the teachers, after all, the teachers who are exposed to teacher education oddly constitute 1 or 2% in higher educational institutions, except in the schools. But in most of the advanced countries, even the teachers working at institutions of higher learning are exposed to the pedagogical sciences beside their own disciplinary knowledge. That's how their quality of teaching, thereby learning, is more effective. That is how one can expect quality in education. That is why in this policy, two important things. Now we have to rise to the occasion as teacher educators. We have to break the walls of the so-called schools of education or the departments of education in the universities. When the policy is talking more about the multidisciplinary approach, even preparing teachers for the school system should get altogether a different approach. There are several challenges, and it is our responsibility to ensure that the teachers whom we prepare for the school system will able to face all the challenges, and then only what it is expected in the policy of 2020 with regard to the school education will be a reality. In addition to that, the policy is now talking about it is the responsibility of the schools of education or the departments of education in the universities to cater to the pedagogical needs of all the teachers working in degree and university departments. It's not a small thing. Though this country developed institutions of human resource development centers, HRDs, earlier we used to call them as academic staff college. There were several review committees stated that the philosophy behind the establishment of these HRDs could not be realized because we know the limitations. Therefore, now the nation is looking at the schools of education. Already an initiative is made under Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya Teachers and Training. So in that direction, now it is the responsibility of the teacher educators to design and organize programs for all teachers across the disciplines. He or she may be coming from engineering, somebody may be coming from law, somebody may be coming from pure sciences. But now what is happening in the HRDs, all people drawn from different disciplines of knowledge were exposed to the same pedagogy, irrespective of the nature of the subject that they are expected to teach, irrespective of the environment, the classroom environment or institutional environment, and they were given the same orientation, and we can understand how far it is really useful to such youngsters who enter into the teaching profession. Now that should not be the case. It is the responsibility of the teacher educators to prepare exclusive pedagogy for different disciplines of knowledge. Otherwise, if the pedagogical sciences which were developed other side the country, if we fail to adopt the same in our country, it is not just possible to improve the transaction in the classroom. So therefore, we have to be very, very sensitive and provide orientation to the teachers drawn from different disciplines exclusively, and it is to be tailor-made, keeping in view the nature of the subject that they are expected to teach in the classrooms. Unfortunately, what we are doing now, the same orientation is given to a computer science teacher, a chemistry teacher, and an history teacher, and a philosophy teacher. But these are all different subjects with unique nature. A computer science and philosophy cannot be taught with the same strategy of teaching. The motivation that is required, the environment that is supposed to be prevail in the classroom, and the background of the students, all these things make a lot of difference with regard to the strategy that the teacher is expected to adopt in the classroom. So we have to go into such minute details. Accordingly, we have to prepare a tailor-made pedagogical approaches for each and every discipline, if possible for each and every subject, by way of considering the classroom environment, the social structure in which the institution is existing. So therefore, the responsibility of the teacher educators in the days to come is not just confined to the Faculty of Education and preparation of teachers for school education. We have to rather cater to the needs and expectations of fellow colleagues working in different disciplines of knowledge. This is one thing. Another thing, most of the time, we confine our academic exercise mostly to organize the programs for school teachers. Now we have to extend our horizon. It is the responsibility of the teacher educators to provide avenues for continuing education of teachers working in the other departments. Whether you adopt the technology platforms or virtual classroom or face-to-face mode, whatever it is again left with the teacher educators to select most appropriate medium through which we can reach many. It is the responsibility that is clearly stated by the policy. Further, students, very interesting thing. All these years only we are confined to our students. Now this is the Department of Education which is expected to invite, not only invitation, they are coming. As stated in the policy that each and every doctoral student, irrespective of their subject, should opt certain credits in the schools of education where teaching, curriculum development, assessment, evaluation, all other technical aspects will be taught to them beside their own subject. Earlier, that was not the case. Even students studying in our neighboring departments always used to think that education is something which they are all concerned with the schools. Now it's not like that. This is only the department. Earlier, we used to feel that it is the computer science which will attract the students from across the disciplines or the subjects. But now, every department is equipped with, every student is equipped with their computational skills. There is no need for a student to go to the computer science department, but every student is expected to come to the education department. Imagine the expectations when students are coming from across the disciplines of knowledge. An engineering student may come to your department. A chemistry student may be coming to your department. Imagine meeting to their expectations and demands is not a small thing. So therefore, it's a major challenge for the teacher educators. This reminds me the observation made by J.P. Naik long back, being the Secretary General of Education Commission. I had the opportunity to attend his lecture at Osmania University as a student of education. Very interesting. If anyone wants to see the health of a university, there is no need to visit all the departments. By way of visiting the Department of Education, one can make a statement or an observation about the university. This is exactly reflected in this policy of 2020. Therefore, now we have to break the traditional barriers in which we are working. Even now, in many universities, the education is delegated to the backbench. They always look at the Department of Education as a training department. They never consider it as education is a discipline of knowledge. Education itself is a science of pedagogy, but they think that It is a training department, just simply they do the job of preparing school teachers. Colleagues, particularly representing the schools and departments of education, this policy has laid tons of responsibilities on every one of us representing the professional education. And in addition to that, there were many challenges in the policy. The major concern is quality. Quality is just not possible with curriculum. Is not just possible with physical infrastructure. Is not just possible with prescribing higher and higher qualifications for the teachers. Quality itself is a very comprehensive term in education. To understand quality in other aspects is very easy, but when it to be understood in the context of education is very, very difficult. But even otherwise, we can't ignore and neglect the quality concerns in education, because that is everybody's concern. Whether somebody is a politician or a bureaucrat or a parent, even a student nowadays is quite concerned with the quality. That is possible only by way of preparing professionally competent, committed, motivated, energized, and empowered teachers. Imagine what a responsibility. Simply going on saying that my job is only to go to the class and teach for 30 minutes or 50 minutes, that is not going to be acceptable to the society at large. A computer can do much better than what we are doing, if that is only the responsibility. This policy included several responsibilities to the teachers. Several. Because all these years, unfortunately, most of the teachers think that their responsibility is to transact what that is prescribed by the board or the university in terms of the syllabus or the curriculum. But now that's not the case. Any machine can do. You see, the present COVID situation replaced the physical presence of the teacher. And after some time, I don't think even they call people like us and they take one tape and transmit from the equipment that is made available. So therefore, it is not just teaching. The teacher should understand that their responsibilities are multifold. And that is to be made known to these teachers in all disciplines. The responsibilities rest with the education department. Because many of the talented people in the most respected institutions in the country, when you observe their classroom teaching, the method that they adopt in transactional processes, mostly that they are exposed when they were students by their own teachers. Never they had any experience either to know or to refer the literature that is available with regard to the pedagogical sciences. I have seen many institutions. My distinguished Honorable Vice Chancellor Ramji is talking about, because he himself is a professor of engineering of a very reputed university, Andhra University. I have seen many engineering colleges, many institutions. Even in the computer science department, they teach computer without having a computer. They do not know how to make use the computer and its integration in classroom teaching. If at all they want to use this computer only for PPT. because they were not exposed. It's not their mistake. Several times I used to observe young teachers who join because to get a seat in a prestigious engineering college, more particularly in computer science department, is not that easy. Once they successfully complete their masters, they are recruited as faculty and they start teaching to their undergraduate students, and they prepare PPTs and they go on reading and reading the same PPT as if the students sitting in front of them are illiterate. If we give little orientation to them, how to make use the technology, that is the responsibility of the education teachers. Because it's not just using the technology, how to make use the technology, to what extent technology is to be used, where technology is to be used, where technology should not be used. All these require a lot of understanding. Same technology cannot be used everywhere, in every context, for every topic of the subject. So this type of orientation the policy is expecting from the schools of education, for all the teachers working in the institutions of higher learning. And now new concepts, they are not new, but they are, the policy is highlighting or overemphasizing, like vocational education. See, even in 10+2+3, which we adopted long back, maybe almost 50 years back, the +2 is supposed to be the stage of education where vocational education should be prominent. But even after 50 years of that +2, even the policy at that point of time never stated that vocational education will be separately offered and it is to be made an integral part of education, as this policy is emphasizing. But unfortunately, even now, the vocational education is almost not present. If at all they are there, they are offered in exclusive institutions. But now, the present policy is trying to integrate from the school level onwards. But in our teacher education, we don't have any program to prepare the vocational teachers. Imagine what will be the fate of such a important intervention in the education system without preparing the teachers for that particular subject. How do you expect that it will become a successful intervention? So therefore, now the schools of education and teacher educators should rise to the occasion. When you come back to our teacher education, we have 3 or 4 curriculum framework for teacher education. It is only in 1998 or 99 Blue Book curriculum framework for teacher education, first developed by NCTE, we have an exclusive chapter for education for teacher educators. Now we have to rather revive the same. Teacher educators are not born exclusively. We can't claim that we know everything. Unless we update teacher educators, unless we empower teacher educators, unless we make them contextual to the developments that are taking place across the globe in pedagogical sciences, unless we create an institutional support for such type of things, activities, I don't think teacher educators can rise to the occasion and meet the expectations of this policy. They are also attending some orientation programs conducted by a non-professional educators teaching in the HRDs. That's not what it is expected. That's why the government of India established 3 inter-university centers for teacher education, IUCTs. at Banaras, Baroda, and Mysore. The expectations of these 3 centers is to conduct most relevant research in order to improve the teaching learning process along with assessment and other things. Better not to talk much about the research that is carried out in our education departments. I am also a party to it. I am not out of the circle. We never look at to what extent the research that is carried out in the departments are really meaningful, relevant to the school system, leave about the other levels of education. Even 30 years back, still I remember, Professor Paul from Allahabad University has written and made an observation that our research is full of statistics, linguistic jargons, not at all in the reach of the poor teacher working the school system on whom we are doing our research. We conduct research on elementary education. We use the most advanced statistical techniques, and we use the language which is not at all conversant with the elementary teachers. What is the use of such type of research? Now we have to conduct the research which should have some impact factor. It's not for degree sake. It's not to acquaint ourselves something which is in practice in Western societies. We have to be more contextual to our Indian system. Sometimes I am shocked to see some topics. Mostly they adapt from the Western societies. I'm not saying that we are not supposed to, but try to address the immediate issues, immediate problems, or immediate things which are confronting our system. Instead of that, taking something which is not contextual, which is not relevant, I think that may fetch a degree, but it is not going to have any impact. So therefore, teacher educators, now we have to give altogether a new orientation or a direction, even the research that we are conducting in our institutions. Every university should, every department or school of education should identify a thrust area. If the nation wants or the policy makers want to get some idea about or some policy concerns, they should be in a position to approach a particular school of education where a lot of research is conducted in that particular domain or the stage of education. But we conduct research from top to bottom. In no area we can claim that we are rather having established some strong base. That should not be. I think this policy expects everything should be scientific. Everything should be research based. Everything should be practicable. Everything should result in quality education. That is only possible provided if we take care the 50% or the other side of the coin, that is pedagogical sciences, which include everything, curriculum development to classroom environment to assessment, accreditation, whatnot. Many of our people even not oriented how to develop a question paper. Many youngsters. So therefore, this new policy has opened up several challenges to the teacher educators. They have included new areas. Unless we incorporate those areas, how to address, we have to move a step ahead of it. When they say vocational education, it is not teaching about vocational. how to organize, how to contextualize, what should be the, how can one make this vocational education taught in school education can be a base for their future education. All these things are to be worked out clearly by the curriculum planners at school level and also at the higher education level. They are to be supported by the teacher educators. If we fail to do so, I don't think whether it is 6% of GDP or 60% of GDP, just mere huge investments and a very effectively drafted policy, any change which is really good for the development of the nation is possible. So therefore, the teacher educators now should come out of their four walls of education department and break the clinks that with which we were confined and restricted to the training sector, and we have to encompass into various levels of education, into various disciplines of education, and develop a very flexible environment where we are in a position to interact with teachers working in all the disciplines. That is how we can address to the expectations enshrined in this policy document of 2020. Otherwise, we continue to be treated as second-rate citizens in the university system. To my experience, even today, after 70 years of the existence of teacher education departments in the universities, sometimes they are not ready to accept it as a part of higher education. They say you are all something to do with the school education. We are privileged, not only concerned with school education, we are like any other teachers equally concerned with entire process of education. So therefore, it is our responsibility not only to consolidate ourselves, and we have to exploit all opportunities to orient ourselves and get the best practices across the globe made available in pedagogical sciences and contextualize them to our context, because I have seen in this country many of the psychological texts which were developed elsewhere in the world were adopted, contextualized, but no department could make a concerted effort to see that one particular instructional strategy proved to be very successful in a different country. Why not it is to be made adaptable or made extensively used in our country, except program and instruction some 30-40 years back. So therefore, it's a high time for all of us to raise to the occasion. Even the policy clearly stated there is a need to establish a mission to empower the teachers by identifying the experienced retired teachers from across the disciplines. There should be a proper interaction. Without understanding the nature of the discipline, no teacher educator can draft a pedagogy or a package for effective transaction of that particular discipline. That is only possible if the subject expert or the teacher from that particular discipline and the teacher educator come together, interact with each other, and can develop a package or a module or a system of transaction, whatever name that you may give, That will make their teaching, learning, evaluation effective. So therefore, Mr. Rao, still I have some time. Hello.
Sir, 10 minutes you have to take, sir.
Another 10 minutes to go.
Yes, sir. Within the 10 minutes you have to complete.
Right.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So that is the reason the teacher educators should come together, work together, and develop a institutional capacity enhancement scheme, because each department should focus on particular aspect of pedagogical science. We can't expect that it is possible for any school of education to develop the strategies for all the disciplines of knowledge, and in the given context there is a need to develop an institutional capacity, networking institutional capacity enhancement by way of connecting ourselves. Not only we enhance, but also we can share, and that will be good for the other institutions who are looking at the schools of education. It's not no more it will be accepted or desirable to work in isolation. All schools of education should come together, work together, share, and give a comprehensiveness. Otherwise, teaching in 21st century will become an arduous task. The students are very, very different. The expectations from the students are too many. The society is also expecting. The values are undergoing change. The skills are modified. Unless each and every teacher look at ahead of the time with a futuristic outlook, our teaching will become like rain falling upon a sloping roof. It's of no use. So therefore, we have to be very sensitive to the challenge of 21st century. It's not just mere learning. We have to ensure accelerated learning among our students. It is not just acquisition of knowledge. The student not only acquire knowledge, he should be in a position to organize knowledge and make use or apply that knowledge. These are all the things which are possible, not just mere transacting the content in the class. It is the teacher who has to integrate while transacting content in the class with all these expectations. Just I am naming one or two. Every class, the teacher should keep in view what are the expectations or the learning outcomes. Generally, we expect that is a part of lesson planning. Yes. Otherwise, you can't claim that your teaching will be scientific unless you have a clear-cut plan. Every interaction in a class should result something what it intended to get as an outcome. It should not be a mere accident. But unfortunately, in most of our classrooms, teaching is a mere accident. They go to the class, they start teaching, and we do not know where they end. Not that our teachers are not teaching, not that our teachers are not spending their time in the classrooms, but every minute, every moment of the presence of the teacher should result in something that is to do with the intended learning outcomes. Classroom is not a place where the political meetings takes place. There is nothing is expected at the end of the meeting. When you interact with the people who attend the meetings addressed by the great politicians, why you have come, I don't know. What you could get, I don't know. But that should not be the case with our students. Every student in the class, every minute that they spend in the class, every interaction that takes place in the class should have a clear-cut expected outcomes, and at the end of the class, every teacher should not only assess the students' outcomes, but also introspect to what extent I am successful in making my students to achieve. Unless this type of transformation takes place among the teachers, just turning out millions of masters or the graduates is not going to help in the national development. Education, more particularly higher education, is not for all. When we are expanding access to higher education, when we are involving millions of our students into the process of higher education, when we want to make them as active participants in the process of national development, the education that we impart to them should play a very important role. That therefore, the role of a teacher is very important. So that's the reason. Really, if the policy NEP 2020, it may take time, because the interesting thing now, we can't go with open-ended time schedule. As I said in the beginning, it's not that easy for the policy makers to say that by 2020 this should happen, 2025 it should happen, 2030 it should happen. Now it is the responsibility of the bureaucrats and planners to come forward and extend all possible support to the institutions to ensure that whatever targets that they have fixed. Earlier that was not the case. 86 policy, 1992 program of action, even when you take the policy document on one hand and we look at the level of our achievement, still there is a wide gap or unbridgeable gap. After all, the policy document is maybe 20-30 pages. We have spent almost 30 years, but still many aspects which were enunciated in that policy document were not yet put to reality. So therefore, here everything is targeted and everything is rather expected in a particular time frame. Therefore, we can't expect that the bureaucrats are not going to support us. The politicians are not going to take it very seriously. It is their responsibility, having fixed the time schedule. Now, the teachers working across the educational system should rise to the occasion and ensure that the stipulations in the policy are made to a reality. I am sure in that context, teacher educators are expected to play a very vital role, and the future of the success of this policy, rather I can say, much depends upon how teacher educators dedicate themselves to the cause of preparing motivated, empowered, committed teachers. When I say teachers, it's not just school teachers. Teachers means everybody working in the system of education from ECCE to advanced research. If we could succeed in that particular aspect, everything will become a reality. With these few observations, I thank the Mizoram University, more particularly the Honorable Vice Chancellor and my learned colleagues in the Department of Education for giving me this opportunity to share some of my ideas on this particular policy and the role of teacher educators.
Thank
I
you,
wish
sir.
you all the best. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your elaborative talk on NEP 2020 especially on teacher education. Thank you very much, sir. We have some questions, sir. Sir, we have some questions. May I ask, sir?
Sure. Most welcome.
Okay, thank you, sir. Due to time concern, only I want to ask one question, sir. How this policy adorns to existing teacher education system, sir?
Yeah. So this policy, the model that is suggested in the NEP 2020 seems to be little confusing because it is more flexible. Once we are moving from one system to the other system, we can't break the system suddenly. There should be a easy transition should take place, or a transition without friction should take place. That is why keeping in view the expectations at the school level, in teacher education also, the policy suggested different alternatives. For example, by 2030 in this country, the policy expects that all teacher education programs should take place in multidisciplinary institutions where every teacher should have the 4-year integrated program as a prerequisite to become a teacher, whether it is elementary or secondary or even early childhood care education. But suddenly you can't prescribe that discontinuing the existing system. This 2-year B.Ed or 1-year B.Ed, whatever that they are talking as alternatives, will continue till we reach the level of establishing the institutions and where the preparation of teacher is possible, and the recruitment system also should transform itself so as to accommodate the teachers who are the products of 4-year integrated course. For example, in the United States, this is a Western model. Whether somebody is teaching at elementary school or early childhood care education or senior secondary school, their salary is not different because qualifications are the same. Now in our country, elementary teacher, though he may be having higher qualification, if he or she is placed in elementary teacher education, she is paid a little less salary when compared to a middle school teacher or a secondary teacher. So when we are prescribing everybody should have the 4-year integrated course, even want to be an elementary teacher or a secondary teacher, naturally the pay package should be the same. So all these transformation, all the changes are to be brought into the recruitment, pay structure, and so many things are to take place before we reach 2030, where every teacher should have 4-year integrated approach for preparation of teachers. So therefore, when you look at the present policy, we are little confused, but over a period of time, we will accustom ourselves when this system gear up, and naturally we will have only one system of 4-year integrated course in a multidisciplinary context. That is what the policy expects at the end of the day.
All of us on NEP 2020, especially on teacher education. Thank you very much, sir.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste, sir. And now, moving towards our third technical session, we have Professor Nityanand Pradhan, sir, Principal RI Bhopal. He has already joined all of us. Sir, am I audible to you?
Yes, Dr. Chaurasia.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So we will now start our third technical session, and I invite respected principal, sir, Professor Nityanand Pradhan. Sir, please, it's over to you, sir.
Hello, Dr. Pratik.
Yes, sir. We can see your slide, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Pratik and Dr. Tejeshwar Rao, both the coordinators of this webinar. esteemed Vice Chancellor of Mizoram University, Head and Dean, members of staff of Department of Education, Mizoram University, fellow panelists, and esteemed participants. First of all, I would like to thank the Department of Education, Mizoram University, for inviting me to speak on the topic that is National Education Policy 2020 implementation issues. When you see, we all know that there are many transformational reforms in the field of education that has been suggested in National Education Policy document, whether it is pedagogical and curricular structure of school education, whether it is establishment of multidisciplinary university, MERU, whether it is vocational education to raise the percentage from 5% to 50%, whether it is teacher education or consolidation of research. And Professor Ramesh Ghanta has already raised some of the issues, some of the challenges in the field of teacher education. And when all these challenges, there are many challenges associated with the transformational reforms. When we make any discussion on national education policy, then many people question on many grounds, like can it be implemented, whether it's bagless days, 10 bagless days, or structure of education, or vocational education, or teacher education, or higher education. Can it be implemented? And their argument is, as Professor Ghanta also was highlighting, that so far many of the recommendations of even National Policy on Education 1968, 1986 has not been achieved. For example, the common school system, which was recommended by Kothari Education Commission and further recommended by National Education Policy 1968, and further policies also, or it is school complexes. It is not a new concept, but they have so far not been achieved. And we have also not achieved many things. And in this policy says that the policy also, the system will look after the unfinished agenda of 1986 policy after 34 years. So definitely there are many implementation issues. The main, because people say that the policy says very big things, and that is usually happens for any policy. But here implementation is a question always. So here I'll be discussing on what are the key issues that are associated with implementation of this policy, and how what steps can we take to make it happen. So these are the three key issues for the three things for successful implementation of a NEP 2020. And for that matter, on any policy, whether it's a tribal policy, forest policy, health policy, or whatever. So first one is a long-term vision. A policy should have a long-term vision. Policy is not to, an education policy or any policy is not to address the current situation or current problems. It should address, it should have a long-term vision, because we have to keep in mind the scientific and technological advancement that is happening and that are like to happen in the years to come. And second thing is availability of expertise on a sustained basis. Here I give example of vocational education. Our current status of vocational education that we provide to the youth in the age group of 17 to 24 is only 5%, whereas it is 95% and above in the countries like South Korea. And in this policy talks about from 5% to 50%. So people raised doubt on that, because so far we have not made the expertise available on a sustained basis for many institutions running vocational education. And the third thing is the concerted effort or a concerted action from national, state, institutional, and individual levels. And the policy time and again highlights the convergence or coordination not to happen in a piecemeal manner. It cannot. It cannot be. It is not possible that a state should act in its own way, or an institution should act in its own way. So there must be convergence, there must be coordination, and it should not be in operational, or it should not be implemented in a piecemeal approach. So the policy identifies three broad issues relating to the implementation. First one is strengthening and review of institutional framework. So in order to a policy to make it happen, we have to, this is the foundation, this is the base that we have to strengthen our institutional framework. The institutions that are associated with starting from national level institutions like NCRT, NIPA, NCT, to the school, or at the state level SCRTs, we have to strengthen first. Otherwise, this is a very difficult thing. Then second thing is adequate financing. We are talking of quality education for all. Adequate financing. This has been also raised by my previous speakers. Then third thing is collaborative implementation strategies. So collaboration is the need of the day. We cannot make it happen in a piecemeal manner. All the agencies that are associated with implementation of the policy, whether at the national level, state level, or institutional level, or individual level, they must work together. So these are the three issues identified by NP, National Policy on Education, for its effective implementation. So let us come to first one, the strengthening and review of institutional framework. Here, the policy highlights on empowering or strengthening, restructuring Central Advisory Board of Education. As we all know, that Central Advisory Board of Education is the oldest, largest, and highest advisory body in the matters of school education. It is not only to advise the government of India in the matters of education. It has many also roles. But you see that there are many advisory bodies. For example, NCRT is an advisory body in the matters of school education. But as far as Central Advisory Board of Education is concerned, it is the highest body, largest body, most powerful body. But this body has many ups and downs. Oldest, when I say oldest, it was established in 1920 as a recommendation of Calcutta University Commission. And again, it was dissolved in 1923 after 3 years on the basis of economic measure. And again, it was revived in 1935 and continued up to 1994. Again, it was reconstituted in 2004. So there are many ups and downs. If you see the history of the functioning of CABE, you will see that it has not functioned properly in its history. And as we know, the CABE is responsible for articulating, evaluating, revisioning, education in a in collaboration with MHRD and states. So this is not only simply giving advice to do this and do that. Also, it has to review the institutional framework. And the second thing that has been suggested in the policy document for the effective implementation, that that Ministry of HRD should be redesignated as Ministry of Education, so that it will focus on mostly education and learning. In 1985, it was designated as MHRD, but now this policy says that it should be redesignated as Ministry of Education, and it immediately happened just after the policy was accepted in the, by the government. Then immediately now it is Ministry of Education. So coming to the second aspect, that adequate financing for quality education for all. We are talking of quality education, and we are again talking of quality education for all. So whether it is primary, elementary, or secondary, or higher secondary, or higher education, we are talking of quality education, everybody. So since Kothari Education Commission, we are talking about 6% of GDP. It was also reiterated in the 1968 policy, 1986 policy, and 1992 review of the policy. So, but so far, it has not happened. We have not even reached 5% of GDP, and the analysis of 2017-18 expenditure, it says that we have only spent 4.43% of GDP. So for this, both state and center to work together, because expenditure on education is an investment. We have it shows that since 1964-66 or 1960s, we are talking about 6% of GDP, and so far we have never attained. It means we are giving low priority to education. It is the low priority sector of the government. And second thing is our financial support to some critical components. There are some critical components of education, and we have to provide sufficient financial support. For example, ensuring universal access. We first talked of in DP, we talked about universalization of primary education, then in SSA, universalization of elementary education, RMSA, universalization of secondary education, and so on. So for universal access, we have to spend substantially. For learning resources also, many schools and colleges are not having adequate learning resources, learning materials. Then we have to spend on nutritional support. It is another critical area. For the students' safety and well-being, many schools, they do not have boundary wall and other things for students' well-being. And adequate members of teachers and staff. Many educational institutions, including teacher education institutions and higher education institutions, they do not have adequate number of teachers. Even there are teacher education institutions running with only single teacher teacher education institutions. Now NCT has not permitted to run teacher education in many teacher education institutions of the country. Then again, teacher development. Teacher development means we have to see their orientation, refresher programs, training, etc. And then equitable high quality education for socially and educationally disadvantaged groups. You see, when we are talking of equity in education, then we have to take into consideration the education of socially and educationally disadvantaged group. Since our independence, we are talking about them for their education, but we can see that still we have not been able to provide quality education, access to quality education to many disadvantaged groups of the country, including scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and many children with special needs. Then another is some long-term thrust areas, because we have to improve the system. Unless we improve the education system, we improve infrastructure, then we cannot implement this policy. So that is the foundation, in fact. So these are some of the areas that these are the long-term thrust areas. For one-time expenditure is required sometimes. Universal quality, early childhood care and education. Then early childhood care and education is so far neglected. But this policy talks high of this in the foundational stage of education, where 3 years of early childhood education. Then it means that we have to invest sufficient money for because we do not have infrastructure now for early childhood education. Now we have to depend upon Anganwadis, but we have to create solid infrastructure when they are part of our structure of education, integral part of school education. And ensuring foundational literacy and numeracy. At the school level, particularly at the foundational level, our policy mostly talks of foundational literacy and numeracy, because that is lacking in the many students. Literacy and numeracy, reading, writing, counting, or arithmetic operations. Then appropriate resourcing of school complexes and clusters. I have told you that this is the idea of Kothari Education Commission, and subsequent policies, 1968, 1986, they have talked about school complexes and clusters. And this policy, National Education Policy 2020, also reiterates this school complexes and clusters. Then providing, so for this we have to spend substantially. Then coming to providing food and nutrition, that is breakfast and midday meal. Of course, that is being provided, but still we have to improve the quality of this breakfast and midday meal. Of course, breakfast is not provided, but this policy suggests that breakfast also should be provided, in particularly in special education zones. And investing teacher education and continuing professional development of teachers. So we have to invest more because we had a very detailed discussion on teacher education and issues of teacher education. There is a need to invest more, because the policy suggests many models, many very flexible models of teacher education program. By 2030, they say that only it will be 4-year integrated teacher education program, like 4-year integrated BSc B.Ed or BA B.Ed, and that will be the minimum requirement for being a teacher in a school, whether it is at the foundational stage or at the secondary stage. Then revamping colleges and universities. Many things have been told, like research universities, degree granting colleges, multidisciplinary colleges and universities. So on this we have to also spend a lot. And then cultivating research. Then research foundation, it has also told, narrated about how to strengthen research, because it is expected that our all activities, teaching, learning, and internship, everything should be evidence-based or research-based. So research is our investment in India in research is less than 1%, less than 1%. And we have seen, you can see from the document that countries spend about 4% in research. Because without research, we cannot bring about quality in education. Then extensive use of technology and online education. We are now talking about using of online education, and many of us know that uh, we do not have adequate resources and infrastructure, connectivity. I was just attending one meeting with the Koreans, and their figure was more than 99% of the students have connectivity, have access to internet connectivity. 99%, maybe 100%. Now you see this is our situation, and we see also in media how the students are facing problems in this online or digital education. So we have to spend a lot in use of technology in the education, and that is the demand of the day. Maybe for many more months or even year, we can just depend upon online education or digital education. Then coming to efficient and optimum use of government resources. Many of us see that whether it is higher education institutions or schools and colleges or teacher education institutions, you see that many government resources are misused or underused, even unused. For that, these are some of the suggestions that can be taken into account for efficient and optimum utilization of government funds or government resources, including financial, human, and infrastructural resources. Smooth, timely, appropriate flow of fund. You see, many of you must be facing, we are all facing that we receive fund at the fag end of the financial year, and we are not able to spend. That is happening not only in national institute, not only in state government institute, but also in national institutes. Then administrative process to check a high volume of unspent balance. You see, out of here or due to many factors, many institutions, they are not able to spend the money allotted to them even on time. And another thing that they talk about provision of GFR and PFNS. So when we are talking of GFR, it means general financial rule. For appropriate use of, for efficient use of money or funds that we receive, we have to follow GFR rule. And another is which was PFMS, which started during 2009 as a part of Digital India initiative. It means that this public financial management system, it is a web-based online software application, and that is usually used for tracking of fund allotment and fund released and expenditure. So that is a kind of online application, so that how much fund that has been released to different organizations, and how they have their spent, and that is a kind of online application that is being implemented in 2009. Then just in-time release of fund to implementing agency. As I have already discussed, that timely release of funds and performance-based funding to states and higher education institutions. So while releasing funds or funding to different agencies, then that should be on the basis of their performance. That it should be basis on the basis of their performance. Then mechanism for the optimal utilization of funds earmarked for ACDs. I have seen there are funds also to our institute also, that this should be specifically spent for socially and educationally disadvantaged groups. But sometimes the administrators, they find the ways to spend the money otherwise, and or this money is remains unspent, whether it is on the basis of their for their training, the money is for their training or development of infrastructure. So it is specifically earmarked. So mostly they remain unspent. And empowerment and autonomy to institutions in this expenditure or following the government public rules, there should be some that autonomy to the institutions to spend. Sometimes most of the institutions at the lower level, particularly at the school level or panchayat level, they are not given autonomy to spend. How to spend, where to spend, how much to spend, they have to all take permission from the higher authority, and that limits their power to spend the money. As a result of which, the money remains unspent. Then appointment of qualified leaders. You say leadership is academic leadership is very important for the effective utilization of fund or optimum utilization of fund. And you see many administrators, particularly in the field of education, they are afraid of utilizing the money. That they fear utilization of money. So for smoother, quicker, and transparent flow of funds, our leader must be very strong and qualified. Then coming to the promotion and support for private philanthropic activity in education sector. There are many private philanthropic institutions. Many NGOs, they run schools for social and educational disadvantaged groups, for children with special needs, for girls, for orphans, for street children, for child labor. So they should be adequately funded. They should be also given funded because they are philanthropic institutions, not for profit institutions. Similarly, a public institution, a government institution also can raise funds from organizations to improve their education quality. So both private agencies, philanthropic agencies, they can raise fund, they can be funded by the government, and even government institutions can raise fund from the locality and from different sources. Then there are some multiple approaches to curb commercialization of education. You see, in the implementation, commercialization is a great barrier. You see, particularly mostly in teacher education, in the case of teacher education, there is a commercialization of teacher education. And as there are thousands of teacher education institutions in the country, although they are not required. And therefore, it is said that these are how to curb this commercialization. The light but tight regulatory approach that mandates self-disclosure of finance. So the basic idea behind this term is phrase is used very emphatically: light but tight regulatory approach. It means that the educational institution should display, should disclose their financial expenditure, the from the sources from which they receive money and so on. And this must be available to public. Then some substantial investment in public education. Public education means in government education. Now you see, people are preferring to send their children to private educational institutions, whether it is government institutions, higher education institutions, or school education. Even in rural areas, many private institutions have come, and on the ground of poor quality of public education, they send their children to schools even in remote areas. So now it is time to spend sufficient money on public education or government educational to strengthen improve the quality of government educational institutions. Then coming to mechanism of good governance, and that has been suggested also in the policy that, for example, for an higher education institutions, board of governors or BOG, and that should be an empowered body, even for the selection of teachers and academic leaders. Then coming to uh, the third aspect of policy implementation, that is a collaborative implementation strategy. Now this is the time, this is the age of collaboration. It is not that only the state government will do in its own way, or for the improvement of the quality of education in the state. They have to also depend upon the national level bodies. So these are the bodies that should work in collaboration, and some kind of mechanism has to be created for just collaboration to happen in MHRD, CABE, union and state governments, education related ministries. Only education ministry is not responsible for implementation of the policy. There should be convergence among different ministries. For example, for women and child development ministry. These are some of the bodies: SCRT, NCRT, NCT, schools, higher education institutions, national testing agency, regulatory bodies for school education and higher education. They should work in collaboration. And you see, the basic purpose of collaboration is synergy. When all the institutions they work together, there are synergy across these bodies, and they are involved in education. It means that education department is empowered, women and child development department is also empowered, health ministry is also empowered. That is what is called synergy across all the bodies involved in education. Then there should be timeline and a plan for review. For successful implementation of this policy, different suggestions of the policy, there should be timeline, because you see, for many activities, curriculum framework, preparation of curriculum framework, multidisciplinary universities, and timeline has been given till 2040. If this policy is to be in full operation, and they have given the time, that is 2040, between 2030 to 2040, this policy will be fully operational. So for different activities, for bringing about curriculum framework, etc. So these are the 7 guiding principles for implementation of the policy. First one is on the implementation of the spirit and intent of the policy. What is the spirit of the policy? Spirit of the policy is India-centered education. Our education system should be rooted in Indian culture and ethos. So, in implementation of the policy, our Indian values, Indian culture, and Indian ethos should be taken into consideration. Second guiding principle is implementation in a phased manner or step by step. You see, for bringing about national curriculum framework, this time is there. For making 4-year integration, a 4-year integrated program of teacher education, there is a timeline. For vocational education to happen, there is also a timeline. It should be done in a phased manner, not all of a sudden. Then third guiding principle for implementation is prioritization. We have to prioritize and sequencing of the policy points. For example, first we will bring NCF, then we will bring out syllabus, then we will bring about textbooks, and like that. So this is the third guiding principles, and the fourth one is comprehensiveness, not piecemeal in implementation. So you see, when we find different aspects of education, they are all interconnected and holistic. So we cannot say that first we will develop infrastructure, then we will go for pedagogy, then we will go for teacher appointment or empowerment of teachers. So it is a holistic and interconnected. So we have to implement in a holistic approach, not in a piecemeal approach, one after another. That will not be possible. And the fifth guiding principle is collaborative implementation between the center and state, because now center cannot be also very independent in implementation of the policy, nor the states, because education is a concurrent subject, and for many things to happen, the states have to depend upon the funding from the center. So this is what is the collaborative implementation of the policy matters. And sixth one principle is timely infusion of resources. There should be infusion of resources. If there are only financial resources, but there are no human resources, or there is no infrastructure, nothing will happen. So there should be infusion of the three types of resources for effective implementation of the policy. For example, there are money in an educational institution, but the teachers are not there. Infrastructure is not there. Infrastructure is there, but teachers are not there. Then things cannot happen. And seventh guiding principle is analysis and review of the linkages between implementation steps. So from the time to time, we have to make an analysis how this linkage is happening, whether this linkage is happening or not at the implementation of different steps. So and next thing in this collaborative aspect of implementation is subject-wise implementation committee of experts for both central and state level. Because sometimes what happens for different areas, different expert groups should be identified. For example, for vocational education, for teacher education, and for early childhood education, different implementation committees should be there for different activity. And then yearly joint review of the progress of implementation of the in accordance with the target set for each action. For different action, time target is there, time or physical target is there. For example, for teacher education, or for research, or for changing, bringing about change in the pedagogical or curricular structure of the school education. So there should be a joint review. Subject-wise expert group will be there, but every year there should be a joint review by different groups. And the last thing is that I am to tell that in the decade 2030-40, the policy envisions that in the decade 2030-40, this will be a very important decade, that entire policy will be in operation. Because you see, now we are in 1920, then for different things to happen, we have to wait for 10 years. And then between this period, this policy will be fully operated. This is if these three conditions that I discussed is appropriately done, that is strengthening and review of institutional frameworks, then adequate financing, which is also important, and then collaboration. So these three things, if happens, then by 2030, between 2030 to 2040, and in 2030 it may happen also, that this policy will be fully operational. So with this, I thank you. I thank the Department of Education, particularly the coordinators, both the coordinators, Professor Tejeshwar Rao and Professor Pratik Chaurasia for inviting me and coordinating with me for my to uh, share my ideas and some of the views on implementation issues of associated with National Education Policy 2020. Again, I thank the entire uh, department, Vice Chancellor, and viewers for being with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a very elaborated talk on the National Education Policy 2020 and implementation issues. You have discussed the adequate financing for quality learning and critical components like ensuring universal access, learning resource, and nutritional support. Along with this, the major aspect that you have discussed, 7 guiding principle for implementations. And I hope that our participants will be highly benefited with this talk, sir. And I extend my heartfelt thanks to you on the behalf of my department and my university. You have given your precious time, sir. And I would like to say, take one or two questions, sir, with your permissions,
Yes.
because of, yeah. Uh, there are a few questions, sir, but two or three questions are linked to the similar one. It is performance-based funding to state and higher education institutes.
Uh,
So they want to know something that how this funding will be done, the performance-based funding. If you can
uh,
enlighten, sir.
Dr. Chaurasia, actually, when I say performance-based funding, it
Yes,
means
sir.
suppose some institute is funded and it doesn't make use of the fund on time. There are many unspent amount, and its performance is not uh, because our purpose is to improve the quality of education. If a particular institution doesn't spend money appropriately, effectively, efficiently for improving the quality of education, that then the funding may be squeezed. So this is what is called performance-based funding system on the basis of performance of the institute or organization.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, there are many other questions, but with the lack of time, we are not able to take that question. We can give it to your email, sir. But now, thank you from our whole department, sir. Thank you for coming and giving your valuable time.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Professor Rao.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And now, for the formal vote of thanks of the today's session, I would like to invite Dr. Linda Zominglani, madam. Madam, can you hear me? Madam Linda.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, madam, please. So I invite you, madam, to please propose the formal vote of thanks to our all speakers and our chief guest.
Thank you, Dr. Pratik, and good afternoon, everybody. The pleasant task of saying thank you has fallen on my shoulders today. And for that, I would like to first of all thank the organizers of this webinar. And first of all, I would like to thank Professor H. Malsomi, the convener of this webinar, for her beautiful introduction of all the speakers that had given us such important insights into NEP 2020 today. And secondly, in his absence, I would like to thank my Vice Chancellor, Professor R.S. Narasimha Rao, because he is always ready to encourage such types of webinars. And in spite of a very poor connectivity, I would like to thank the Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Patnaik, for showing his support and endorsement of this kind of webinars. Today, we had very prolific speakers, but first of all, I would like to extend my gratitude on my own behalf and on behalf of the Department of Education, Mizoram University, to Professor C.K. Saluja for giving a wonderful, just told view of NEP 2020. Not only did he speak about the various aspects of NEP 2020, but the professor also spoke about the various roles played by different stakeholders for the success of NEP 2020. I'm sorry, am I visible now?
Yeah, ma'am. You're not visible, ma'am.
Am I visible now?
Yeah, now you are
Am I?
visible. Yeah, madam. You are
Oh,
visible.
okay, that's good to know. So I wish you all a very good afternoon again. And secondly, I would like to thank Professor uh, Kanna Ramji, from the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Andhra University. He spoke at length about the importance of uh, technical education, strengthening the infrastructure, and also introducing innovations and improving quality of existing institution, and many of the things that you spoke about, strengthening the university systems. These are things that are very much needed if we want to see the success of NEP 2020. And then I would also like to thank Professor Ramesh Ganta, uh, who spoke on, especially with regards to Professor Ramesh Ganta, I would like to give him special acknowledgement because I'm taking environmental education and have been taking this particular course for the past 15 years or so in this department. It is due to Professor Ramesh Ganta's contribution in environmental education that this university has been able to have so many resources in environmental education. And today he has shared with us his in-depth knowledge regarding education, not only with regards to environmental education, but also in different parts of, in all the different aspects of NEP. And in that, we thank you very much for being with us today, Professor Ganta. So you have spoken with regards to the role of teacher educators for the success of NEP 2020. And you have also highlighted the importance of vocational education, and also that research has to reach the desired targets. All these have been noted by us, and we hope, Professor, that you will also continue in your pursuit of excellence in education. Thank you so much. And last but not the least, I would like to extend my gratitude to Sir Professor Nityadan Pradhan. He is the principal of RIE. He needs no further introduction. And you would have seen by that carefully, wonderfully crafted PowerPoint that he presented to all of us, how well prepared he was. And that in itself is an example for all of us to follow. Thank you so much, sir. You have highlighted the importance of NEP 2020 for different aspects of education. You have highlighted the importance of reintroducing the importance of vocational education. Not only that, you have also highlighted the importance of early childhood education and also the role of university system and the importance of research. And not just the importance of research, you have also wonderfully highlighted the importance of enabling the grassroots people, those who were in the grassroots, to understand, to know the results of research and make use of it at their level. That is a very, very important point which I noted down, sir. You have also highlighted the various aspects of the NEP 2020. You have divided it into three very clear functions, and you have not just stopped at that, but you have also highlighted the various ways in which we can collaborate, how we need a holistic approach in order to see the success, not just in the infrastructure, but also in the pedagogy and also in the recruitment of teachers as well. Thank you so much for that powerful speech, sir. Thank you very much. And last but not the least, I would like to thank not just the organizers, but all the participants of today's webinar. I have seen my retired professor, Professor R.P. Vadera. I've seen Professor Jyoti Kumar and many other senior colleagues among our professors. I hope we have all benefited from today's webinar, and I wish the organizers the best for the next day's session as well. Thank you very much. Over to you, Dr. Prateek.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for proposing the formal vote of thanks. And once again, I would like to thank our
I'm really
respected
honored.
chief guest, sir.
Thank you.
He is with us throughout the program. And along with him, I would like to
It's
thank
been my pleasure.
our all speakers and our convener of the program. And along with her, I would like to thank our Vice Chancellor and our Pro Vice Chancellor. Without their promotion and motivation, this program cannot be materialized. So I'm thankful to everybody for joining and being with us. Sir, thank you, sir. Saluja, sir.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir. And I also extend my thanks to my colleague, Dr. Rao. He is always being with me and just helpful in just materializing this program. So thank you to you, sir.
Thank you.
And thank you to all participants, those who have listened us very patiently. And one important announcement for all participants. Tomorrow we will start at 10 a.m. So we hope.
हमारी ओर से भी धन्यवाद. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir,
So I hope we will associate again.
Thank you for thanks.
And grow together.
thank you, sir. You have enriched this webinar immensely, sir.
Thank you, Pratik and all.
Namaskar, Pradhan ji.
Namaskar, sir. Namaskar. After long, I could see you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you to everyone.
Thank you, sir.
And now with the house permission, I would like to quit the meeting from my side.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.